Hello, dear traveler of the night, and welcome. Tonight, let us set aside the weight of the day and wander gently into the hidden landscapes of the sleeping mind. Dreams have always been our quiet companions, arriving when our eyes close, blooming like soft lanterns in the dark. Each night, when you drift into rest, something delicate and mysterious unfolds. Your thoughts, once sharp, begin to loosen, like threads slipping free from a knot. Your senses grow quieter, as though the world itself dims its lights. And in this stillness, another reality stirs, one that does not ask effort, only surrender. Out of nothing, entire scenes appear, faces turn toward you, voices rise, and stories unfurl as if painted on the air by an unseen hand. Dreams can puzzle us like riddles, show us reflections like mirrors, or sweep us away on journeys that bend time and gravity. They carry fragments of memory, yesterday's laughter, long-buried fears, the shimmer of imagination, and the whisper of emotion. Some dreams lift us into flight, giving us wings across endless skies. Others leave us puzzled, lingering in their strange vividness, and many slip away too quickly, vanishing like mist at sunrise, leaving us wondering if they were ever truly there. If you enjoy gentle wanderings through mysteries like these, you may join this journey by subscribing, so that together we can return again and again to the quiet wonders of science told like a bedtime story. But for now, let the day's noise fade into the background. Rest your body, soften your breathing, and let curiosity carry you toward calm. So here, at the edge of sleep, we ask a question that has traveled with humanity since the first spark of wonder. What are dreams for? Even with all our knowledge, the truth is still wrapped in mystery. We know much about the rhythms of sleep, the waves of the brain, and the chemicals that dance within it. And yet, the purpose of dreaming remains elusive. Perhaps a memory keeper, perhaps an emotional healer, perhaps a secret engine of creativity. But one thing is certain, dreams are not meaningless. They are the nightly work of the mind, a window to inner worlds, shimmering with purpose, even if that purpose is hidden. And so, with this gentle beginning, let us step together into the mystery of dreams. For all the science we carry, for every brain scan and study, the true purpose of dreams still lingers like a riddle whispered in the dark. We know the stages of sleep, how we sink from light drowsiness into deeper currents, until the mind arrives in the strange seas of REM, where eyes flicker beneath closed lids and the inner theater awakens. We can measure brain rhythms, chemical tides, and the restless dance of neurons. Yet the question remains, why do we dream? Some scientists believe dreams are guardians of memory. They imagine the mind at night like a careful librarian, pressing the save button on the day's events. Each detail, faces we saw, words we spoke, emotions we felt, is tucked away onto hidden shelves, waiting to be retrieved when morning comes. Others suggest that dreams are not just about remembering, but about healing. Like an artist painting with emotion, the brain replays difficulties in softer colors, helping us face fears or grief with gentler edges when we wake. There are also those who see dreams as rehearsals for survival. In these nightly simulations, our minds place us in danger, chased, trapped, confronted, allowing us to practice responses without true harm. It is a private training ground, born in safety, preparing us quietly for the unknown. And some believe dreams are sparks of invention, weaving fragments of memory into new patterns, birthing ideas that could never emerge in the strict daylight of logic. Perhaps all of these theories are true at once, shifting with age, stress, or circumstance. A child may dream to rehearse courage. An artist may dream to ignite creativity. A grieving soul may dream to soften their sorrow. Dreams, it seems, are many things at once: healer, teacher, guardian, and muse. What's certain is this: dreams are not random. They are the secret work of the sleeping mind, tending to memory, emotion, and imagination, even if their final purpose remains hidden in shadow. And with this thought, let us drift further into the dream, where science and mystery walk hand in hand. It may sound impossible, like something out of a fairy tale, but scientists have found ways to speak with people while they dream, not after they wake, not through guesswork, but in real time, while the dream is still unfolding. The key lies in lucid dreaming, that rare and magical state where a dreamer realizes, "I am dreaming," without opening their eyes. In this moment, the mind becomes both participant and observer, wandering the dream while aware it is a dream. To prepare for these studies, volunteers were trained with a simple code. When they became lucid, they would move their eyes left and right in a set pattern, an unmistakable signal from the dream world back to the waking one. And then, while still asleep, the conversations began. Researchers asked questions using soft sounds, gentle lights, or even a delicate tap. Inside their dreams, the volunteers responded with eye movements or faint twitches of their faces. Some even solved basic math problems or answered yes and no questions, all from within their sleeping stories. The exchanges were brief, like tapping on the glass of an aquarium and seeing a fish flick its tail in reply. But their meaning was profound. They showed that the dreaming brain is not sealed away behind walls of sleep. Awareness can exist inside a dream, and signals can cross between worlds, as if a tiny bridge has been built between imagination and reality. Think of it, a person sleeping, their body still, their eyes closed, yet carrying on a conversation across the veil of consciousness. It is a reminder that the mind at night is not silent, but alive, listening, answering, wandering, even while we rest. Dreams are not sealed shut from the world around us. Even as we sleep, whispers of reality can drift inside and change the colors of our inner landscapes. Among these whispers, scent holds a special kind of magic. Unlike sight or sound, smell travels a direct path into the regions of the brain that cradle memory and emotion. It reaches us deeply, bypassing reason, speaking straight to the heart. Scientists discovered that this connection remains alive even in sleep. In one study, people were first surrounded by the gentle fragrance of roses while experiencing something pleasant while awake. Later, as they slept, that same fragrance was introduced again, soft, invisible, unannounced. And what happened was extraordinary. Nightmares, when they came, shifted. The sharp edges of fear dulled, like a blade blunted by time. Scenes that once burned with terror softened into safer tones, calmer settings, less threatening shapes. The dreamers did not necessarily see roses blooming in their dreams. Instead, the scent worked quietly in the background, tinting emotions, reshaping atmospheres, guiding nightmares toward gentler paths. It is a reminder that our dreaming minds are not cut off from the world. They listen, they absorb, and they respond. A fragrance in the air can slip into the dream and turn a storm into something softer, like rain falling on petals. This discovery holds a quiet promise. If something as delicate as the scent of a flower can ease the weight of recurring nightmares, then perhaps dreams can be nudged, healed, and guided with kindness. Even in the deepest corners of the night, comfort can find its way in. At night, the brain is not idle. It does not simply drift into silence. Instead, it works quietly, arranging and polishing the memories of the day, like a careful archivist placing fragile documents into safe storage. And sometimes, scientists have found, we can guide this process with something as simple as sound. In one experiment, people were taught something new before sleep, perhaps the layout of objects on a screen, or pairs of words to remember. Each set of items was linked to a soft cue, such as a piano note or a quiet tone. Later, while the participants slept, the researchers replayed only one of those sounds. Without waking, the brain recognized the cue and reactivated the memory it was tied to. By morning, those memories stood out, clearer and stronger compared to the others. This gentle method is called targeted memory reactivation. It doesn't create new memories or implant knowledge, but it strengthens the pathways already laid down, making the chosen ones shine brighter. Think of it like a lullaby played to the mind. A single note slips into the night, and the brain leans toward it, weaving it into its dream work. By dawn, what was fragile has become firmer, as though the night itself has pressed the memory more deeply into the folds of the mind. It is a small but beautiful discovery that while we sleep, we remain teachable, influenceable, gently responsive. The world may be quiet around us, but inside, the music of memory is still playing. For thousands of years, people have wondered if dreams could be guided. Ancient cultures left offerings, whispered prayers, or surrounded themselves with symbols before sleep, hoping their visions would carry messages or inspiration. Today, science is beginning to create gentle tools that echo those old practices, devices that can plant small seeds into the soil of the mind just before dreams begin. One such approach is called dream incubation. Using lightweight wearables with soft sensors, scientists can detect when the body is slipping into the fragile first stage of sleep, that twilight moment known as hypnagogia. In this state, images bloom and vanish quickly, flashes of light, drifting shapes, fragments of voices. It is a borderland where waking thoughts dissolve into dream sparks. At just the right moment, the device introduces a chosen word: ocean, forest, tree. The sound enters quietly, like a pebble dropped into still water. That single word often ripples outward into the dream. A forest may unfold, waves may rise and fall, a tree may spread its branches across the night. Sometimes, if the sleeper stirs, the device even asks for a brief description of what they saw, then encourages them to drift back down. By morning, many awaken with dream fragments tied to the planted theme, strange, beautiful, and full of unusual connections. What is most fascinating is how these guided dreams can spark creativity. Like a painter mixing unexpected colors, the brain begins to explore new associations, creating images and ideas that never would have formed in the bright logic of day. It is as though science and imagination are finally meeting in the middle where ancient rituals once sought answers. Modern technology now offers a gentle touch, shaping the stories we tell ourselves in sleep. Lucid dreams are among the most astonishing states of mind we can enter. To realize, in the middle of a dream, that you are dreaming, it is like discovering a secret doorway inside your own imagination. And within that space, not only can awareness exist, but thinking itself can continue, deliberate and focused, as though the mind has carried a lantern into the night. In laboratories, researchers tested this remarkable ability. Before sleep, they gave lucid dreamers simple tasks, solving math equations, remembering sequences, or repeating small patterns of movement. Once the dreamers became aware inside their dreams, they completed the tasks, signaling their answers with prearranged eye movements. To the astonishment of science, the responses were correct. It meant that even while the body was resting in paralysis, the dreamer's mind could still reason, decide, and act. Imagined movements lit up the brain's motor areas as vividly as if the body itself had moved. The dream became a rehearsal hall, where thoughts and actions could be tested without consequence. Beyond the lab, people who experience lucid dreams often describe breakthroughs. Musicians awaken with melodies still humming from their night's performance. Speakers rehearse words they have not yet spoken. Artists explore impossible shapes. Dancers practice steps. Writers find stories waiting for them in the quiet corners of the dream. Control is never absolute. The dream is alive, flowing, unpredictable. But within it lies a space where logic and imagination meet. A playground of the mind, where problems can be solved and new creations can be born. To think inside a dream is to glimpse the brain's extraordinary flexibility. Even when reason sleeps, it can awaken within imagination, showing us that the night is not only for rest, but for discovery. Normally, when we dream, our bodies are kept still by a gentle safeguard. The brain, in its wisdom, quiets the muscles, so that the stories of the night remain in the mind alone. You can run across mountains in a dream, fight storms, or take flight, all without moving a single limb. It is a protective gift, keeping our nightly adventures safe. But for some people, this system falters. In a condition known as REM sleep behavior disorder, the barrier between dream and body thins. The sleeper may thrash, speak, or even leap from bed, acting out the dream as if the boundary had dissolved. It can be startling and sometimes dangerous, both for the dreamer and for those nearby. Doctors often recommend simple safety steps, removing sharp furniture, softening the surroundings along with medicines that help quiet the disorder. What makes this condition especially significant is its deeper link to health. Studies show that many who experience REM sleep behavior disorder later develop conditions such as Parkinson's disease or related neurological changes. It does not mean everyone will, but it is one of the most reliable early signs that the brain may be shifting in ways still unseen. And so, these unusual nights become important clues. What seems like a restless dream breaking free may in truth be the brain sending an early signal, a whisper from the future. It reminds us that dreams are not just curiosities. They are windows into the workings of the mind, sometimes revealing more than we realize, hints of stories written not only in imagination, but also in the delicate fabric of our health. Imagine if the private images of your dreams could be painted on a canvas, not by your own hand, but by a machine listening to the whispers of your brain. It sounds like the plot of a science fiction tale. Yet in recent years, researchers have taken the first delicate steps toward this possibility. In their experiments, volunteers looked at pictures while their brain activity was scanned in detail. Artificial intelligence learned how to recognize the patterns, this shape, this texture, this category of image. Later, when the same people fell asleep and drifted into dreams, those same brain regions lit up again. The AI, trained on waking imagery, tried to reconstruct what the dreamer might be seeing. The results were not sharp portraits, not crystal clear scenes. Instead, the images were hazy, blurred, like paintings seen through fog. Yet they carried resemblances: a vague face, the outline of a building, the suggestion of a forest. Some approaches didn't draw pictures at all, but instead identified themes. Was the dream filled with movement, or with animals, or with places? Though primitive, these reconstructions prove something remarkable. Dreams leave fingerprints in the brain, and with the right tools, those prints can be traced. For the first time in history, we are glimpsing inner imagery in almost real time, as though machines are eavesdropping on the secret cinema of the night. What lies ahead raises both wonder and caution. Will we one day watch recordings of our own dreams, replaying them like films? Or will dreams remain forever partly hidden, resisting capture? For now, the images remain vague and shifting, like clouds caught on canvas, but they remind us that even the most private corners of the mind leave traces in the silence of the night. Dreams are often thought of as pictures, a moving film behind closed eyes. But for those who have never seen light, dreams unfold in other ways, no less vivid, no less rich. People who are blind from birth do not dream in images. Instead, their nights bloom with sound, touch, smell, and sensation. In these dreams, voices echo in 3 dimensions, filling space with shape and depth. The tap of footsteps becomes a guide, mapping out streets and rooms. Fingers brush against textures, wood rough beneath the palm, silk smooth against the skin. Sunlight is not seen, but felt as warmth against the face. Scents rise and carry whole landscapes with them. The sweetness of fruit, the sharpness of smoke, the salt of the sea air. Those who lost sight later in life often continue to dream in pictures for many years. Over time, however, their dreamscapes shift, leaning more on other senses, as if the mind slowly adapts its palette. What this reveals is that dreaming is not tied to vision alone. It is not about the eyes, but about the brain's endless ability to create immersive realities. The mind will always find a way to weave a world, whether through light or through sound. through color, or through texture. And so, even in darkness, dreams still glow, crafted from the senses that remain most alive, painted with touch, sculpted with sound, perfumed with memory. They remind us that dreaming is not about what we see, but about how the mind imagines, reaching always for connection, for meaning, for story. There are moments when the border between dream and waking feels uncertain, moments when the mind stirs before the body, and a strange stillness takes hold. This is known as sleep paralysis. For those who experience it, it can be unsettling. The eyes open, awareness returns, but the body will not move. The cause is simple, though the feeling can be intense. During REM sleep, the brain gently paralyzes the muscles, so we do not act out our dreams. But sometimes, awareness arrives too early. The dreamer wakes into a body still bound by the night's restraint. For a few seconds, or sometimes minutes, they lie suspended, conscious, yet motionless. In this state, dreams may spill into waking vision. Shapes hover at the edge of sight. A presence may be felt in the room, heavy and close. Cultures across the world have given names to this shadowy visitor. The night hag, the ghost pressing on the chest, the spirit in the doorway. But science assures us it is only a trick of the brain, the lingering overlap of REM imagery with waking awareness. No danger, no harm, just the mind caught briefly between two states. With calm breathing and gentle patience, the paralysis always fades. The body releases, the muscles awaken, and the shadows dissolve like mist. To know this is to lessen its fear. Sleep paralysis is not an attack, but a reminder of how delicate and mysterious our transitions between worlds can be, how waking and dreaming sometimes meet in the same room, if only for a moment. When we think of dreams, we often picture them blooming only in REM sleep, the stage where the eyes dart beneath the lids, the brain glows with activity, and vivid stories unfold. But science has shown that REM is not the only chamber of dreaming. Dreams can rise in other stages too, even in the deeper, quieter waters of NREM sleep. These NREM dreams are usually simpler, softer, less cinematic. They may appear as fragments of thought, drifting images, or fleeting impressions like sketches instead of full paintings. A single word, a vague setting, a shadow of an idea. They lack the vibrant surrealism of REM, but are no less real, carrying their own quiet weight. Researchers often describe dreaming as a house with many rooms. REM dreams are the grand halls, bright, noisy, filled with movement. But beyond them lie smaller, quieter spaces. The NREM chambers, where the mind murmurs instead of shouts, where memory and emotion are sorted in gentler ways. What this tells us is that dreaming is not a single event, nor a single stage. It is a continuum, a spectrum of inner experiences woven throughout the night. Some dreams arrive loud and vivid, like storms of imagination. Others come as whispers, barely noticed, yet still part of the mind's hidden work. Even in silence, even in the slowest rhythms of sleep, the brain is never entirely still. It continues to weave, to reflect, to create. And so, no matter where you are in the cycle of sleep, you are never far from a dream. If we were to peer inside the sleeping brain, most of it would appear quiet, slowed, resting, drifting, but not all of it. In the back of the brain lies a region that glows with unusual activity when dreams take shape. Scientists call it the posterior hot zone. This cluster of areas spanning the visual and sensory regions seems to act as the lantern of dreaming. When it flickers with activity, the chance of dream reports is high. When it dims, sleep grows blank, and the night passes without remembered stories. What is striking is that this hot zone is smaller than we once imagined. For years, many believed that dreams required the whole brain to ignite, a symphony of networks playing at once. Yet evidence suggests otherwise. A dream may be born in this single glowing patch, like a fire contained in one corner of the mind. From here, imagery unfolds, shapes and colors rise, voices echo, textures sharpen. Emotions weave their threads. The hot zone acts not as a dream director, but as a stage, an illuminated canvas where the brain paints its inner worlds. And so, the mystery deepens. We now know where dreams are most likely to spark, yet we still cannot say why the lantern is lit. Perhaps it is memory rehearsal, perhaps emotion sculpting, perhaps something more. What feels certain is this: every night, when the world falls away, a small region at the back of your brain becomes a theater of light, quietly crafting the visions that carry you through the dark. In waking life, the mind is carefully balanced. The logical prefrontal cortex weighs decisions, quiets impulses, and edits stray thoughts before they spill out. But in dreams, this guardian grows quiet. Logic loosens its grip, and emotions step forward, vibrant and unrestrained. Brain scans show this clearly. During REM sleep, the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, flares with activity, glowing brighter than in wakefulness. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, seat of reason and order, drifts into silence. The result is a landscape where feelings surge unchecked, shaping the scenes we wander through. This is why dreams can feel so intense. A small detail, a glance, a sound, a shift in setting can send waves of joy, fear, or sorrow crashing through the dream. And yet, no matter how strange the story becomes, we often accept it. Flying through the sky feels natural. Talking animals make sense. A room can shift into a mountain, and we continue without question. It is as though the brain at night becomes an artist with no critic looking over its shoulder. Emotions hold the brush, and they paint boldly, blending colors that waking reason would never allow. The result is surreal, sometimes unsettling, sometimes beautiful, but always deeply human. And when we wake, traces of those feelings often linger. A dream can leave us anxious all morning, or quietly uplifted, even if the details vanish like mist. Dreams remind us that we are creatures of emotion as much as reason, and that, in the stillness of sleep, the heart often speaks louder than the mind. Deep within the dreaming brain, there is a rhythm, tiny pulses of activity that ripple like waves across hidden shores. Scientists call them PGO waves, short for pontogeniculo-occipital. The name is complex, but the idea is simple. These bursts of electricity sweep from the brainstem to the visual centers, igniting sparks of imagery in the night. Each wave is like the flicker of a lantern in a dark room. As they rise and fall, the dream may shift new scenes, new colors, new movements, like frames of an inner film. Some researchers believe these waves are the very heartbeat of dreaming, marking the moments when the mind sketches its shifting landscapes. In experiments with animals, bursts of PGO waves often appeared just before dramatic dream events like running, leaping, or sudden changes in scenery. In humans, the pattern is harder to see, but evidence suggests something similar. These pulses may act as the cues that weave narrative flow, guiding the dream from one chapter to the next. Though invisible to us as dreamers, they are the silent directors of our inner theater. Each wave a brushstroke, each ripple a spark that brings the dream to life. It is humbling to think that while we drift in sleep, our nights are choreographed by signals we cannot feel, an ancient rhythm of the nervous system, shaping stories that flicker and vanish before dawn. And so, PGO waves remind us, even the most mysterious visions of the night have roots in the delicate music of the brain. Behind every dream, there is not only electricity, but also chemistry. As we drift into sleep, the brain's inner pharmacy changes its recipe, mixing and shifting the balance of neurotransmitters that guide our thoughts and feelings. One of the key players is acetylcholine. During REM sleep, its levels rise, awakening the visual parts of the brain and fueling the vivid images we see. It is as if acetylcholine hands us the brush and says, "Paint freely." Meanwhile, other chemicals step back. Norepinephrine, which in waking life sharpens focus and vigilance, falls quiet. This silence may be why dreams feel less bound by order and more open to strange emotional leaps. Serotonin, too, dips lower, loosening the grip of rational structure. The stage is cleared for the surreal. Together, these shifts create a unique neurochemical cocktail. They silence the inner critic, heighten emotion, and let imagination roam unguarded. What would feel absurd by day becomes natural at night. Flying, speaking with the dead, walking through impossible landscapes. It is a reminder that dreams are not random storms of the mind, but carefully shaped by the ebb and flow of chemicals, as precise as tides. When the balance changes, the quality of the dream changes too. Sometimes soft and strange, sometimes intense and unforgettable. And so, every night, without our awareness, the brain becomes an alchemist. It stirs its invisible potions, and from them arise the strange, glowing worlds of dreams. One of the strangest qualities of dreams is how easily they break the rules of reality, and how little we seem to notice. We can breathe underwater, walk through walls, or soar across the sky without wings, and it all feels perfectly natural in the moment. Only upon waking do we realize how impossible it truly was. The reason lies in the shifting balance of the dreaming brain. When the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and skepticism, grows quiet during REM, the mind stops questioning. Without its strict supervision, the impossible flows freely, unchecked. The brain does not pause to ask, "Does this make sense?" Instead, it simply accepts, weaving surreal experiences into seamless narratives. This loosened grip is not a flaw, it is a gift. By suspending the rigid rules of waking life, the brain can explore connections that daylight would forbid. It allows creativity to bloom, new associations to form, emotions to play out in worlds unbound by physics. Dreams give us permission to wander beyond the fences of reason. In this way, they reveal something profound. The mind is not limited to what is real. It is capable of creating entire universes where the rules are rewritten. And though these universes dissolve when morning comes, their echoes may linger, sparking ideas, reshaping feelings, or leaving us with the strange aftertaste of wonder. Dreams remind us that imagination does not need permission. It only needs space. And in sleep, it has all the space it could ever want. Dreams are never built from nothing. They are stitched from scraps of our waking lives, threads of memory, emotion, and experience, woven together into new forms. Sometimes these fragments appear immediately, slipping into the night on the same day we lived them. This is called day residue, a face you saw, a word you spoke, a sound that lingered. They return in dream, like echoes that have not yet faded. But memory does not always hurry. At times, it waits. Psychologists have discovered something called the dream lag effect. Events from several days earlier, often around a week, re-emerge in our dreams, delayed but still vibrant. A conversation you had last Tuesday may blossom into a dream the following Monday, as if the mind carried it quietly in the background before releasing it into the theater of sleep. No one knows exactly why this delay happens. Some believe it is the mind revisiting memories after they have settled, testing how they fit into the wider story of your life. Others suggest it is part of a long process of weaving experiences into identity, like threads returning to the loom until the pattern feels complete. What is certain is that our dreams are never random. They are mosaics, built from the pieces of our days, some fresh, some long delayed, all reshaped by imagination. To dream is to witness the mind's quiet artistry, taking the ordinary and turning it into something strange, meaningful, and sometimes unforgettable. Every dream, then, is a bridge between past and present, a place where yesterday's moments still find ways to live again. Many dreams are not soft or whimsical, but charged with tension, chases, falls, confrontations, dangers we cannot easily escape. Why does the mind so often turn to peril when we sleep in safety? One theory suggests that these dreams are simulations of threat, rehearsals for survival written on the stage of the night. In these visions, The brain creates scenarios that stir fear, running from an unseen pursuer, losing control of a car, standing on the edge of a collapsing bridge. Though frightening, the danger is never real. Instead, the dreamer practices responses, rehearsing what to do when faced with risk. It is as though evolution gave us a training ground inside our own heads, a place to prepare for crises without the cost of injury. Children in particular often dream of being chased by animals or monsters, echoes perhaps of ancient dangers faced by our ancestors. Adults may dream of losing control, of threats to their families, of dangers that mirror the stresses of daily life. Each time, the brain seems to sharpen its instincts, polishing the rehearsal for a world where unpredictability is the rule. And when morning comes, the dream dissolves, but the lesson may remain a subtle strengthening of awareness, a quiet preparedness for the unexpected. If so, then even our nightmares carry purpose. They are not just torments of the night, but secret classrooms where the mind teaches itself to survive, again and again, without ever leaving the bed. When we close our eyes at night, we rarely wander alone. Our dreams are filled with people, family, friends, colleagues, and sometimes strangers who feel both familiar and unknown. Scientists call this the social simulation hypothesis. It suggests that dreaming is not just the rehearsal of danger, but also the rehearsal of human connection. Inside these private theaters of the night, we negotiate, argue, reconcile, and embrace. We listen to voices that echo from memory or blend into new creations. Dreams give us practice for the delicate art of being human, testing what it means to comfort, to disagree, to forgive. Even when a scene is strange, sitting at a dinner table that slowly turns into a classroom, or meeting someone who is half a friend and half a stranger, the emotions feel strikingly real. Brain scans reveal that the regions tied to empathy and understanding others remain active during dreaming, while logical oversight softens. This allows interactions to unfold without the constant self-editing we apply in waking life. A conversation that would feel impossible in daylight may flow freely in the dream, giving us a safe stage to test words and emotions. Perhaps that is why dreams are often crowded. Our minds know that survival is not just about avoiding threats, it is also about learning to navigate each other. In this sense, every night becomes a quiet rehearsal for the endless dance of relationships that awaits us in the morning. Dreams rarely play back life exactly as it happened. Instead, they are collages, bits of one day stitched onto the fabric of another, places and people rearranged like pieces of a puzzle that never quite fit, yet somehow tell a story. Neuroscientists believe this happens because the hippocampus, the brain's memory librarian, reactivates fragments during sleep. Those fragments drift upward, where the cortex weaves them into new patterns, blending yesterday with long-forgotten echoes of childhood, or even fleeting moments barely noticed. You might find yourself sitting in a cafe you visited last week, but the waiter has the face of a childhood friend, and the conversation is about a worry you carried only yesterday. A childhood classroom might suddenly contain your present-day co-workers, or the street outside your home may open into a city you have never visited but somehow know. These combinations are not mistakes. They are the brain exploring, testing connections, searching for meaning. This creative mixing may explain why dreams often inspire insights. By loosening the grip of ordinary logic, the sleeping mind experiments with combinations that waking thought would quickly dismiss. It's as if the brain takes the raw clay of memory and reshapes it into sculptures we've never seen before, strange, surreal, and sometimes profoundly useful. In the morning, we wake with fragments, a jumble of scenes, a flash of a face, an odd sentence that lingers. They may feel nonsensical, yet within them lies the quiet work of a mind reorganizing itself, learning and adapting through imagination. There is a fragile borderland between waking and dreaming, a liminal space known as hypnagogia. It lasts only moments, yet within those moments, entire worlds can flicker into view. As the mind loosens its grip on wakefulness, Fragments of imagery bloom, shapes swirling like smoke. Flashes of light, the sudden outline of a face that vanishes before you can focus. Some people feel a jolt, as if falling through space, their body reacting with a quick spasm called a hypnic jerk. Others hear brief bursts of sound, whispers, chords of music, a knock on a door that doesn't exist. These are not full dreams, but glimpses, as though the brain is beginning to shuffle its deck of memories and emotions, preparing to deal out the first story of the night. Artists and thinkers have long sought this state, using it as a spark for creativity. Thomas Edison, Salvador Dali, and many others would deliberately drift into hypnagogia, holding an object in hand so its fall would wake them just as visions began. In that twilight space, the mind is suggestible, ready to bend a single word, image, or thought into vivid imagery. Though fleeting, hypnagogic flashes remind us how quickly the mind can slip from the ordinary into the extraordinary. They are the first brushstrokes of the dreamscape, painted on the canvas of the night before deeper sleep takes hold. Just as sleep begins with drifting flashes, it also ends with them. As dawn edges closer, the mind enters a delicate state called hypnopompia, the twilight of waking. In these moments, dream imagery does not vanish all at once. Instead, fragments linger like mist, clinging to the edges of consciousness. You may open your eyes and still see faces hovering, hear voices fading, or watch dream scenes dissolve into the familiar shape of your room. Sometimes, the two worlds overlap. A dream door might shimmer against your bedroom wall, or footsteps might echo even as silence surrounds you. The mind takes a moment to decide which reality it belongs to. These echoes are most vivid after REM sleep, when the brain's visual and emotional centers are still highly active. For some, they bring a sense of wonder, as though the dream world is reluctant to let go. For others, especially those with sleep disorders like narcolepsy, they can be startling, pulling waking awareness into a dance with lingering illusions. Yet even when unsettling, hypnopompic echoes remind us of the fragility of the boundary between dreaming and waking. They are gentle messengers from the night, showing us that the mind does not snap cleanly from one state to another. Instead, it drifts, carrying traces of its inner stories into the light of day. Time in dreams is a trickster. A few minutes of sleep can stretch into hours of dream experience, packed with long journeys, deep conversations, and entire lifetimes that never truly were. Other times, a dream that feels complete and satisfying may have lasted only seconds. Scientists have tried to measure this slippery phenomenon. In experiments with lucid dreamers, people were asked to count to 10 inside their dreams, signaling the start and finish with prearranged eye movements. Remarkably, their timing matched the pace of waking life. This suggests that, at its core, the brain still keeps its inner clock. The stretching and compression come not from the ticking of time itself, but from the way the dream narrative skips over transitions, condensing entire actions into highlights. Emotions also shape the flow. A frightening chase can feel endless, every second magnified by fear. A joyful flight over mountains may seem to last for hours, though only moments pass in reality. Just as an intense day can feel longer than an ordinary one, so too do emotionally charged dreams expand in the mind's perception. Perhaps that is why dreams feel so magical. They are not bound to the steady march of seconds and minutes. Instead, they bend and fold time like a soft fabric, allowing us to live 1,000 moments in the space of a single night. Even in our deepest sleep, the ears never fully close. The world outside still whispers to the mind, and instead of waking us, those whispers often slip into the dream itself. A sudden slam of a door may appear as thunder in a storm. A barking dog outside might transform into a wild animal in the dream. A faint melody from a radio can become music floating through a dream cafe or a distant concert under the stars. The brain, ever a storyteller, works to keep the dream coherent. Rather than ignoring the sound, it explains it, folding it into the ongoing narrative, as though it always belonged there. Researchers have tested this effect in sleep labs, playing soft tones linked to memories people had learned earlier in the day. Without waking, the brain wove those tones into the dream, gently reactivating the memory. By morning, the dreamers often recalled those lessons better than others. It is a reminder that sleep is not a sealed chamber. The mind is porous, blending the inner world with the outer. The night is not silence, but a quiet conversation between our resting brain and the world beyond the pillow. Each sound a thread that may be woven into the fabric of the dream. Even with eyes closed, the body is not blind to the world. Light still seeps through the eyelids, reaching the sensitive cells of the retina. And when it does, the dreaming brain does not ignore it. It transforms it. A sudden flash may appear as a bolt of lightning splitting the sky, the flare of a camera, or headlights sweeping across a darkened road. In sleep laboratories, researchers have tested this with gentle pulses of light. Many dreamers reported scenes where brightness appeared flashes, bursts, or glowing skies woven seamlessly into their dreamscapes. The brain, intent on protecting the continuity of the dream, explains the intrusion by turning it into imagery that fits. But the balance is delicate. Too strong a burst, and the dream collapses into wakefulness. Too faint, and it vanishes unnoticed. Yet in that narrow window, the dream world absorbs the light, bending it into its narrative. It is a quiet reminder that even in our most private landscapes, the outer world finds a way in. The night sky outside the window, the faint glow of a passing car, these may become the dream's stars and lightning bolts, reshaping the stories our sleeping minds create. Among all the sounds that drift through the night, one is uniquely powerful to your own name. Even in deep sleep, the brain is tuned to notice it, as if carrying an invisible thread that never quite disconnects. Studies show that when someone hears their name during lighter sleep, the brain responds more strongly than to any other word. Sometimes it sparks a K complex, a brief surge of brain activity that acts like a sentinel, checking whether the signal is important. Other times, it slips directly into the dream. You may hear someone call to you, only to awaken and realize it was the outside world reaching in. This makes sense from an evolutionary perspective. For our ancestors, missing a predator's rustle might not matter, but missing your name, called out in warning, could be fatal. The brain has learned to keep that doorway open, holding space for what is most personal. And so, even when wrapped in the deepest stories of the night, the sound of your own name can pass through, like a familiar hand brushing against your shoulder. A reminder that you are still tethered to the world beyond sleep, even as you drift across dreamscapes that belong only to you. For all the intensity of nightmares, chases, falls, battles, one thing is strangely rare: pain. When it does appear, it often feels muted, fleeting, or transformed into something symbolic. A sharp wound may register as nothing more than a dull ache. A crushing blow may dissolve into the sensation of pressure or heaviness. Scientists believe this is because the brain dampens many of the body's signals during sleep. Chemicals that carry pain messages are reduced, and attention shifts away from physical sensations toward imagery and emotion. Instead of focusing on the sting of injury, the dreaming mind becomes preoccupied with fear, pursuit, or conflict. Yet pain is not absent altogether. People with injuries or chronic conditions sometimes find their discomfort seeping into dreams. Even then, it is often altered, turned into metaphors, blurred into symbols. A burning sensation might become walking across hot ground. A throbbing limb might appear as a heavy weight that cannot be lifted. In this way, pain in dreams reveals something remarkable. The mind does not just record sensations, it reshapes them. Even suffering is bent into story. And when morning arrives, most of us wake to find that whatever dangers we faced in the night, we endured them without the sharp edge of hurt. Of all the senses, taste and smell are the quietest visitors to our dreams. Most nights, they barely appear at all. When they do, They arrive like whispers and unexpected sweetness on the tongue, the sharpness of smoke in the air, the fleeting perfume of flowers that vanish before we can lean closer. Scientists have found that these senses, though rare in dreams, can still shape their emotional color. Smell, in particular, is powerful. It bypasses the logical filters of the brain and connects directly to memory and emotion. In sleep experiments, pleasant scents like roses softened the tone of dreams, while harsher odors darkened them. Curiously, most people never dreamed of roses or smoke itself. The scent worked invisibly, tinting the dream with calm or unease without ever showing its source. For some, especially those whose waking lives revolve around these senses, chefs, perfumers, wine tasters, dreams may carry richer layers of flavor and fragrance. But for most of us, they remain background tones, subtle hints rather than central players. Even so, they remind us that dreams are woven from every thread the senses provide, sometimes vivid, sometimes faint, but always part of the tapestry. The sleeping mind creates an unseen spice in the recipe of the night. For most of us, dreams unfold in color. Soft skies of pale blue, glowing reds of a coat, the green of distant hills our minds paint with the full palette of memory. Yet it wasn't always reported this way. In the mid-20th century, many dream studies suggested that people dreamed in black and white. Today, scientists believe culture played a role. Those who grew up watching black and white films or television were more likely to describe their dreams that way. As color media spread, so too did colorful dreams. Most of the time, the hues are not strikingly vivid. They drift in softly, just as in waking life, where we rarely notice every shade until we are asked to pay attention. Often, one detail stands out: a single red apple, a golden light, the deep blue of the ocean. Everything else may blur into muted tones, like a watercolor painting washed gently by sleep. Dream color, then, is both personal and cultural. It shows us that even in our most private moments, the world we grow up in leaves its imprint. The films we watch, the books we read, the light of our own daily lives, all of it seeps into the dream palette. And when morning comes, we wake not from black or white, but from a tapestry painted in the quiet colors of memory and imagination. Beneath our eyelids, in the stillness of the night, the eyes are not fully still. They dart, flicker, and trace invisible paths across darkness. These movements, rapid eye movements, or REMs, once seemed random, but scientists discovered something extraordinary. Often, they mirror where the dreamer is looking within the dream itself. This idea is called the scanning hypothesis. In sleep laboratories, lucid dreamers agreed to shift their gaze in deliberate patterns when they focused on objects inside their dreams: left, right, up, down. Outside, monitors recorded their eyes making the same movements, even though they were fast asleep. It suggests that our dream vision is not just imagination, but carries echoes of real perception. When you gaze at a mountain in your dream, your eyes may truly rise. When you track a falling star, your eyes may follow its arc, though no light touches them. Not every movement reflects dream content. Some bursts are generated from deeper within the brainstem. Yet enough of them align with dream events that scientists now see eye movements as windows into the private theater of the night. In this way, the body leaves subtle traces of its hidden journeys, small physical ripples on the surface of sleep, while the dreamer continues to wander through landscapes unseen by the waking world. When we dream of running, climbing, or playing an instrument, the body remains still. Yet inside the skull, something remarkable is happening. The motor cortex, the region that plans and executes movement, lights up, almost as if the actions were real. To the brain, imagined footsteps, leaps, or melodies carry nearly the same weight as waking practice. This is why athletes often dream of their routines, why musicians hear notes and feel their fingers move across invisible keys in sleep. Even video gamers report dreams of shifting patterns, repeating sequences as though their brains were rehearsing. The body is safely paralyzed, but the rehearsal continues within. Small twitches sometimes escape this paralysis. An eyelid flutter, a finger's jerk, the faint kick of a foot. These tiny movements are like sparks slipping past the brainstem's safety net, hints of the hidden performance still underway. Scientists believe they are fragments of dream commands, leaking outward, traces of inner motion momentarily visible. And when morning comes, many dreamers find they perform better at the tasks they practiced unknowingly in sleep. The night, then, becomes more than rest. It is a quiet rehearsal hall, where body and mind work together in secret, training in the shadows of imagination. Nightmares arrive like storms. They rattle the calm seas of sleep with images of fear, loss, or pursuit. For many people, they become most common during times of stress exams, heartbreaks, arguments, grief. The brain seems to echo the turbulence of waking life, reshaping it into scenes that are more dramatic, more threatening than the day itself. But just as storms pass, so too do nightmares. As stress softens, their frequency often declines. It is as though the brain, having rehearsed the worries of the day again and again in the theater of the night, eventually lays them to rest. Children are especially prone to nightmares, their young minds still learning to navigate fear and uncertainty. Adults may see them return during difficult seasons of life, moments of change, illness, or emotional weight. Yet even then, nightmares may serve a hidden purpose. They push us to confront what unsettles us, to feel the emotions we might avoid in daylight, and perhaps to release some of their sting. Nightmares are not failures of sleep, but messages. They remind us that the mind is not only resting at night, it is working, processing, and sometimes wrestling with shadows. And when morning light spills across the room, those shadows fade, leaving behind the calm certainty that the dream has passed and the day has begun. Though nightmares can feel overwhelming, they are not unchangeable. With gentle practice, even the darkest dreams can be softened, reshaped, and healed. One of the most studied methods is called imagery rehearsal therapy. The process is simple, yet powerful. Recall the nightmare while awake, then rewrite its ending into something calmer, safer, more hopeful. Instead of falling endlessly, you might imagine learning to fly. Instead of being chased, you might turn and find a friend where the monster once stood. By rehearsing this new story during the day, the brain begins to carry it into the night. Slowly, the nightmare loses its grip, replaced by a different version of the dream, one infused with safety or even beauty. It is as though the mind accepts the rewritten script, choosing a gentler path through its own labyrinth. This approach reminds us of something comforting. Our relationship with dreams is not fixed. They may feel mysterious, beyond our control, but the truth is more tender. With awareness and care, we can guide them, nurture them, and invite peace into the places where fear once lived. Dreams are not only reflections of the past, they are also doorways to healing. And sometimes, the simple act of imagining a new ending can begin to change not only the night, but the way we wake to face the day. For all we have learned about brainwaves, chemistry, memory, and emotion, dreams remain partly unknowable. We can measure their rhythms, trace their sparks, and even glimpse their images with machines. And yet, the essence of dreaming still drifts beyond the reach of science. Why does the mind insist on creating stories in the dark? Why do some dreams heal while others haunt? Why do certain images return again and again, stitched into the fabric of our nights? These questions remain, shimmering at the edge of understanding, like stars just out of reach. Perhaps that is what makes dreams so precious. They are not puzzles to be solved once and for all, but mysteries to be lived with companions to our inner life, carrying fragments of memory, imagination, and emotion into strange new forms. Every night, we are given entry into a private theater, where the mind rehearses, heals, and invents. And when morning comes, most of it fades. Only a few fragile pieces remain: a face, a place, a feeling. The rest dissolves like mist in the light. Yet even unseen, the dream has done its quiet work. So tonight, as you close your eyes, remember this: your mind will not be idle. It will wander, weave, and wonder. It will tell you stories only you can hear. And though you may not recall them, they will carry you softly, silently through the dark, until the light returns again.